big idea number 47 that I want to share with you today, and this is baked into a lot of the yogic literature, and again, doesn't get a lot of press, is, I guess you could say it in the positive or you could say it in the negative. I'll do both. So the big assertion is that our essential identity is of a spiritual nature. And maybe you've heard those kinds of phrases like, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, that kind of encapsulate this idea. And said a little differently, maybe negatively, depending how you want to look at it, is our essential identity is not the stuff of mind. The stuff of mind, which for the majority of my existence is the operative reference point, is where I go for orientation, where I go for self-definition, etc. And the premise in yoga is as well, it's baked into Patanjali's very definition of yoga. Yoga's chitta vritti nirotana. Yoga is the cessation of mental content. Yoga is the stilling of all thought. Yoga is the stilling and ultimate still point of all thought of mind. Right? And I suspect you have some flavor and appreciation for this. Like even just coming out of Shavasana, right? There's like an air of suddenly my problems don't feel so urgent or even relevant. Right? Or a good meditation will do that, right? When like we're just fascinated to look at the wall, engrossed in looking at the wall, right? Because there's this field of acceptance and, or stilling of thought. Now here's the lean in today. So that's Sutra 1.2. And then 1.3 says, Tada drashtus, that's it, yogas, ata yogana shasanam, 1.1, now the study of yoga. Yoga's chitta vritti nirotana, yoga is the cessation or stilling of all thought. Tada drashtu svarupane, which means then, when the mind is still, then the seer is established in their essential nature. Right? Making the connection here. Then the seer is established in their essential nature. So seer in this context, other words for that are like the witness, the observer, the one in the same way that we have some objective capacity to watch the clouds pass in the sky and we see, oh, there's this transitory phenomenon, just kind of, it's an enchanting meditation. I'm not sure last time we had a chance for a little cloud meditation, but good old fashioned cloud meditating. But it's definitely worth a go. I would recommend it again. It doesn't even have to be summer. You can do it any time of the year. In fact, this is a note to self. I'm going to get on board with my own advice here. And by the end of the week. So just as we can watch, clouds change and transform, there's some like objective distance from that. Similarly, you can observe changes in the body, and Yoga Asana is masterful at this, right? You can pull back and like, wow, that's some intense sensation going on there. Isn't that interesting? And I cue that all the time, right? Like, soften your senses, soften your eyes, soften your brain, and just be in the discomfort of warrior one, like that. And you develop objectivity. There's less like reacting to the body, right? In yoga, the body is contained within the mind. That's their order of operation, which is a great lean in when there's doubt in the body. It's contained within the mind. And if you keep following this kind of backing into the observer, with practice, we can begin to disengage from the content of the mind as ourself, as our ultimate identity. Like, oh, that's not such a good idea, right? Like, build a little buffer between, say, a thought arising and our next impulse. Mm-hmm. I have some people, someone dear and close in my life for whom there is no filter, right? There's just, here's my thought, and there's reality, And in yoga, we create that space and pull back into what's called the witness or the observer. The Upanishads describe like who is the seer behind the scene, or who's the hearer behind the hearer, who's the smeller behind the smell, or the taster, and so forth, through all the touch behind all the senses, right? And that there's a value in this, in that we can, grow more perceptive and maybe and become less entangled with our particular view or constructs or branding of this principle of awareness, and start to recognize more universal, say, consciousness or awareness like that, to have a more expansive as opposed to contracted and finite view. So that's the sandbox.